Hello friends, hi, how are you today? So in today's case, I found a missing woman's case that's still active right now, and it is just unbelievable. I was researching all hours of the night and I accumulated a bit too much information. However, I decided to put it into a timeline. So the case I'm talking about is the Mamta Bhatt case. It's about a missing woman based in Virginia in a small town called Manassas, and she was a pediatric nurse. She was 28 years old, originally from Nepal. She has an 11-month-old daughter and she's married to a former US Army Reserve specialist. So he was an ex-military person. And with that said, she's been missing for several weeks between late July 31st, until now. She still hasn't been found. Her body still hasn't been recovered. It's no longer a rescue, it's more of a recovery. So let me not give too much away. Let's get into today's case. So Mamta was a pediatric nurse and a mother that has gone missing for several weeks. On July 31st, her colleagues last seen her, and after that she didn't show up for work. So she's supposed to show up for work on August 1st and 2nd, but she never showed up. As suspicions grew, her colleagues called the police to conduct a welfare check. She's gone missing, she didn't show up for work. Everybody was worried. However, funny enough, her husband, Naresh, he never called the police. And because of that, media got involved in today's story. Him being a bit shady and standoffish, he kind of went viral, to be honest. I came across this case when I was just scrolling and it was just hitting headlines everywhere. After watching Naresh's interview with the WUSA, someone wrote in the comment section that I don't know who this guy is, but I know he did it. And when I watched the interview, he was being so standoffish because, as days turned into weeks, media got hold of the story, like I said, and they showed up outside of his house and asked him, "Do you have any idea where your wife is?" and so on. You know what I'm getting at. And he was just like making it about him. And he said, and I quote, "I am the one that's suffering. She is my wife. She's my baby's mom. I don't know what I'm supposed to say." That's what he said. That's exactly his words. I mean, I do appreciate that his English is quite limited, but based on what he is saying, he is disassociating himself from the situation. He kind of blamed Mamta for leaving before and coming back. So she used to do this disappearing act. So that's what he's letting everyone know. Like, she done this before, so don't be too alarmed. So Naresh was, not really participating into the search party. There was a vigil. There was so many people that love Mamta and were just worried. They were worried sick on where she has gone, and they were searching for her. And Naresh was just not involved in the search party. He was very nonchalant. And there was another video that I watched where Naresh just was tired. He was tired of everything. And one of the spokespersons were asking him, "Do you want to make a plea for your wife? Do you want to tell the general public where your wife is and ask them to bring her back if she's held captive somewhere," and so on. And he said, and I couldn't believe it, he said, "I don't want to speak to the media because there is an ongoing investigation and I don't want to taint the course of the investigation." And that doesn't make any sense to me, but he simply said, "No, I will not ask the general public where my wife is." As the days turned into weeks, people were sick of Naresh's behavior. So the police decided, as their suspicions grew, to execute a search warrant in his house, which means Naresh was arrested and formally charged with concealing a body. Because what did they find in the search warrant? They found pools of blood. So whoever was bleeding in that house could have not survived those injuries. And where did they find the pools of blood? It was inside the home, obviously. It was from the master bedroom where Naresh and Mamta use, and there was a lot of blood splattered on the floors, on the carpet, on the walls, and on the blinds of the windows. And Naresh took off those blinds and placed it into the cupboard. There was blood staining on the carpet, and you can tell that someone has been doing circular motions trying to clean off all the blood. Someone was trying to conceal the evidence. Who do you think that was? Not only that, the pools of blood showed smears from the master bedroom to the ensuite bathroom, and there was a lot of blood found in the bathtub. So, with that said, it's just enough for him to be charged formally for concealing a body, and that's basically where we're at now. So let me tell you a little bit of Naresh's history. So Naresh was a former US Army Reserve soldier, and he is out of work at the moment. So he was honorably discharged, and he was working between February till June of 2024, and after June he wasn't working. That means he had a lot of time to spend with his wife and his daughter. So the relationship between them two, there's not much information how things were in their marriage, but I did read a few articles here and there where Mamta was showing up to work with bruises, and she did go online and ask whether it is legal for her husband to place their daughter into protective child custody without her consent, because she isn't a US national. She is originally from Nepal, and I think she's staying in the US via a work visa, but that's totally my assumption. You know, her plans were to go back to Nepal and raise her daughter there, but she came to the US to be with her husband, which was circumstantially abusive. I believe he was very much abusive, because where is she now? She showed up to work with bruises and everything. She was suffering for a very long time, and it's heartbreaking. So August 22nd, Naresh was arrested and charged with concealing of a body, and he's being investigated for the disappearance of his wife, Mamta. Mamta last spoke to her friend on July 28th, but Mamta was calling this friend very late during the night, and her friend simply didn't answer. So the very next day, her friend told the media that Mamta seemed like a very devoted mother, a good wife, a good friend, and she seemed like a very intelligent and calm person, and she would never in a million years just walk out of her family and leave without a trace. She believes in her heart that something terrible has happened to Mamta, and people are hoping for her to come back, but unfortunately that's not the case. So authorities believe on July 30th, Naresh murdered his wife and took her body outside of the home. So they're suspecting that the murder happened on July 30th, a day before people realized that she was missing. So this is very shady. On July 30th, Naresh was seen on CCTV walking into a shop called Walmart, and he bought 3 sharp knives. While the search warrant was happening and authorities were searching the house, 2 of the 3 knives were missing. They haven't recovered every knife, just 1. A day later, Naresh was seen in a different Walmart. He was caught on CCTV buying a lot of cleaning supplies. Within the search warrant, it was seen that the cleaning supplies was placed in the master bedroom and in the bathroom, and they were placed in odd areas. Like you would find a bottle of bleach like near the window, on the windowsill, beside the bed. That's not where you place your cleaning supplies, but it just seems very suspicious because he needed it nearby to clean up the crime scene. So they took note of that. They take note of everything, because if you decide to murder someone during modern times, like I've said in my previous videos, you are leaving traces of yourself behind. I mean, the world is so surveillanced. You will get caught. People will notice someone that they work with, that they love, that they value has gone missing, and people will keep digging and put a timeline together, and eventually you will get caught. But these murderers, these family, like gender-based violence, serial killers, like they just honestly, I don't know what they think, but choices were made, and they just honestly do believe that they would get away with it. That they would wake up to live another day and do whatever their heart desires. How can you do something so horrific and take the mother of your child away from her and just think that you could move on with your life? Because, shortly afterwards, Naresh sold his Tesla. During the time Mamta was missing, he also sold a few items within the home, like furniture, some clothing, and authorities found within the search warrant that he also packed a suitcase. He had cash laying around. So we're at August 5th to the 8th. This is when Naresh, this is before he got caught, right? That's when he decided to call the police to file a missing persons case. So Naresh said he last seen his wife on July 31st and they had dinner together after work. And then after that, she went missing. And then this is when he stopped cooperating with investigators. This is where he started getting weird, because he said she was at home with me. I was the last person to see her. Then she disappeared into thin air. August 14th is when that awkward interview he had outside of his home, and is where he was spewing a lot of guilt, and he was making it all about him, and he was kind of telling the news reporter like she was missing way before and came back, and she was missing before and then she came back. And this is where everybody's suspicions grew and so on, and he was just being weird. Naresh did call his wife like a lovely person and he misses her very much, and he pleaded to the public this one time and said, look, if there's any problem, please come back, we can fix it. That's what he said. So on August 15th, the chief of police from the Manassas Park Police Department were making a public conference saying, Naresh is a person of interest. He always was a person of interest. And news reporters were all there. It was quite frantic, and they were throwing questions at him. And they asked whether Naresh was cooperating with the police. And he simply said, no, he's not cooperating with us. He's not answering any questions, and so on. So on August 22nd, like I said before, that is the day when Naresh was arrested and charged with concealing a body, and he's held without bond. And the state prosecutor said that he's a flight risk and a danger to society, and he needs to be held as the search party continues for Mamta and her family. Mamta's 11-month-old daughter was taken away by social services whilst the investigation was taking place. But after a while, a trusted friend is currently raising Mamta's daughter for the time being, and she's in a safe place, so that's good. On August 23rd, court documents state that Naresh murdered his wife within the home and dragged her body on or around July 30th or the 31st. So during the course of the investigation, so going back to Naresh and Mamta's home, they used specialized forensic lighting to discover all the blood pools and everything that I've mentioned before, and it was just, the evidence was so overwhelming. It is clear as day that a murder has been taking place inside that house. And from the outside, it's like a detached, beautiful home in a nice, quiet area, and something so sinister happened. And a pediatric nurse, Mamta, was killed in that home. Her body still hasn't been found, and we're hitting the 6th week. I forgot to mention, but Naresh destroyed Mamta's cell phone during the time of her disappearance. So her phone was inactive around 30th or the 31st of July, and he was just trying to make sure to hide all evidence. So it is obvious that her phone has been tampered with, and they found it completely broken. it is just so upsetting. I was hoping for her to come back. I thought she was held captive somewhere, but fortunately it's a recovery and not a rescue. So guys, that's all we know for now. I have picked the main bits from the investigations. Naresh did change his stories multiple times, but I just can't listen to this man talk anymore. And with that said, this is deeply upsetting. My heart goes out to Mamta and her family and her friends and those who are affected, because she had her whole life ahead of her. You know, you can see from her pictures that she was a very kind, loving person based on what she does for others and so on. And she just fell into the hands of a depraved monster, a psychotic man. It was just so inhumane to know what has happened to her, and it's deeply upsetting. And with that said, please be safe out there, and I hopefully will see you guys next week. For now, take care. Bye.